Welcome to African Mysteries, where ancient whispers, dark secrets, and untold legends come to life. These stories are based on folklore, real experiences, and cultural beliefs. Viewer discretion is advised. Let the mystery begin. Episode 3: Whispers of the Dead. After months of hiding, Afimadu thought she had escaped her family's curse. Far from the golden gates of Blood River Ministries International, she lived in a dusty little town called Erevu, tucked between dry hills and silence. No one knew her real name there. She told people she was a seamstress, quiet, normal, unremarkable. But the darkness didn't forget her name, and it certainly didn't forgive her. It began with the voices. At first, just in dreams, soft mutterings, far-off chants, the rattling sound of cowries shaken in a calabash. But soon, the whispers came during the day, while cooking, while brushing her teeth, once, even while peeing. They weren't in her head, they came from the walls. It was always the same voice, cold, familiar, her mother's. You ran, but you didn't run far enough. The haunting intensified, mirrors cracked without warning. Flies buzzed around her food like it was rotting. Even when it was fresh, her body would go ice cold at exactly 3:17 a.m. every night, the same time her mother had died. But the final straw came when she found the snake's skin in her bed sheets. Not a dream, not a vision, a real, thick, shedded snake skin coiled right where she had been sleeping. That night, Afi realized something horrifying. She was still being watched, not just by the ghost, not just by the snake, but by her father. Thousands of miles away, Prophet Kwaku still had his eyes on her. She could feel it in her bones. The rituals hadn't just summoned power, they had tethered the family together in blood and spirit. Distance didn't break the chain. If anything, it pulled tighter. And so, for the first time since she'd fled, Afi lit a candle, a real candle, no electricity, no phones, just flame. She closed her eyes and spoke into the darkness. If it's war you want, then let's begin. What she didn't expect was an answer. The candle flickered and died, snuffed out by wind that came from nowhere. The windows rattled, her breath turned foggy in the warm room, and then, standing in the corner of the room, was a child. Not a real one. This thing had no eyes, no feet, just a face stretched into an eternal grin. It pointed to her with one long bony finger and said, "You can't break a covenant. You were born into it." Afi screamed, not because she was afraid of ghosts. She was used to those. No, she screamed because she finally understood the truth. She was part of the ritual. All along, her father hadn't just been using the snake and the ghost for power. He'd been feeding it with his bloodline. That's why his children suffered with madness. That's why every family member who got too close to the truth died mysteriously. They weren't accidents, they were offerings. And she was next. But this time, Afi wasn't going to run. She began to fight back. She found an old Babalawo in Erevu named Pa Olorunleka, a blind spiritualist with one good ear and no patience for nonsense. When she told him her story, he didn't flinch. He simply said, "Ah, one of those churches." Then he handed her a black gourd filled with river water and goat blood. She was to pour it at the threshold of her father's church. Afi laughed. Walk back into that demon's house? She might as well sign her death certificate in advance. But Pa Olorunleke looked her dead in the eye and said, "If you don't, you will not see your next birthday." So she returned. She didn't tell anyone. She wore a veil and moved like a ghost. The church was bigger now, more luxurious, the gates taller, the people richer. But the serpent was still there. She could feel it. It hissed through the sermons. It laughed during the prayers. It wrapped itself around her father's words, turning poison into prophecy. And the ghost, her mother, she stood by the altar, invisible to the crowd, watching. Afi walked up to the threshold just before service began. She looked at the polished marble steps, the velvet ropes, the giant TV screens. showing her father's face smiling like a politician. And she poured the gourd. Black liquid hit the floor like acid. The air screamed. Not the people, the air itself. Birds fell out of trees. A sound like thunder burst from the heavens. And inside the church, Prophet Kwaku collapsed mid-prayer, clutching his chest. The snake hissed violently. The ghost screamed. The sky turned gray. And Afi, she turned around and walked away. That night, 3 of Prophet Kwaku's cars caught fire in the church parking lot. The newspaper said it was an electrical fault. The congregation called it a test of faith. But Afi knew what it really was, the beginning of the end. And the snake, it knew her name now. For more mysteries from the Motherland, hit that like button, subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a tale. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and beware. Some legends are more than just stories.